Hello, I'm Rhonda, and welcome to my channel. There are stories we rarely tell out loud, the kind where someone sees us, but doesn't choose us. And the ache left behind isn't loud, it's quiet. If you ever felt that kind of silence, you're not alone. So take a slow breath now, and allow yourself to settle into this space, where your softness is safe, and your story is finally heard. And while you're here, go ahead and subscribe now, so the next time your heart needs something like this, it knows exactly where to come. The One He Didn't Choose. A hypnotic story of longing, loss, an unspoken knowing. There was a kind of ache that doesn't scream, doesn't sob, doesn't tear itself apart in the street. It waits, in silence, like a candle burning in the corner of a room no one walks into anymore. And this is a story of a woman whose love was never loud, but it was real. So real, in fact, he couldn't look at it directly. Her name was Val, and for a long time, she thought, the problem was her volume. Too quiet, maybe. Too soft. Too subtle in a world where everything loud seems to get chosen first. But love, real love, doesn't shout. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It waits. And then it lets go when it knows it's no longer being met. They met the usual way. Not fireworks or orchestras, but a glance that lingered a half second too long, a laugh that echoed later than it should have, a pull that didn't have a name yet. He saw her, she knew that. The way he held her gaze like something fragile, like something ancient he wasn't quite sure how to hold. And that maybe was the beginning of the end. Because even though he saw her, he didn't choose her. He chose safety. He chose familiarity. He chose the path with fewer questions. And Val chose not to chase. There's something about not being chosen that turns the breath inside out. Not pain exactly, but a kind of floating ache, a weightless heaviness that presses on you from the inside while the outside world just keeps moving. She didn't cry, not right away. She just sat with it, with the knowing that she had loved without condition, that she had stayed open even when her nervous system begged her to close, that she had hoped quietly, fiercely, beautifully. He wasn't cruel. He never promised anything he didn't give. But she knew, deep in her bones, that he felt something too. That somewhere between their laughter, their almost touches, their unfinished sentences, something had begun to grow. And maybe that's what hurt the most. Not the absence of love, but the presence of it with no place to go. Sometimes at night, she would imagine what he was doing, not obsessively, but with a kind of quiet curiosity. Was he happy? Did he feel her absence like she felt his? Was he haunted by the unspoken like she was? And sometimes she'd feel it, not in words, but in waves, a heaviness, a pull. A breath that wasn't hers catching in her chest. Maybe he thought of her. Maybe he didn't. But she still chose to let go. Not because she stopped loving him, but because she started loving herself more. You see, there's a moment after the grief, after the ache, after the what-ifs and could-have-beens, where the heart softens. Not because it gave up, but because it grew, expanded, evolved into something wiser. Val stopped wondering why she wasn't chosen. She started asking why he wasn't ready, why he didn't see the miracle in front of him, why he mistook quiet strength for passivity, why he thought love had to be dramatic to be real. And when she finally stopped checking her phone, when she stopped holding her breath, when she walked barefoot across the wooden floor of her own presence, something returned. Not him, but her. The part of her that had always been whole. The part of her that never needed to be chosen, to be worthy, to be radiant, to be enough. And you, listener, if you ever felt that ache, the one that doesn't scream, doesn't sob, but waits quietly in the dark, know this: you were not unlovable. You were simply too real for someone who hadn't yet learned how to see. So breathe now and let the breath remind you, you are still here. You are still whole. And one day, someone will not just see you, they will choose you. Not despite your softness, but because of it. Hypnotic induction. Letting go of the one who didn't choose you. You don't need to figure anything out right now. You don't have to make sense of what happened or why they didn't choose you. You don't need closure. You don't even need words. Just breathe. Right here. Right now. Let yourself exhale. That's it. There's nothing to solve. Just a quiet moment between you and you. And as your breath begins to settle, you may notice how the body holds the story, even after the story is over. The tightness behind your chest, the shallow breath, the weight in the jaw, in the throat, in the space just beneath your collarbone. The body remembers what it wasn't given the chance to say. So now, we listen, not with ears, but with awareness. Feel your shoulders. Let them drop. Feel your hands. Let them unclench. Feel the breath move in and out. And maybe even slower now. There may have been a time when your nervous system believed that being chosen meant being safe. What if they loved you back? Would you finally be okay? But what if that isn't true? What if the safety you were seeking has always been here, waiting behind the ache? What if the part of you that still longs for them is really just longing for you, your own presence, your own attention, your own love? So let's call it back now. Imagine for a moment a thread of longing unraveling from your chest. You don't have to cut it, just allow it to float gently back towards your body. Each strand returning your energy from the places that's been poured, spilled, given without return. Feel that. You don't have to chase anymore. You don't have to hold onto someone who didn't know how to hold onto you. They didn't choose you, but that never meant you weren't unworthy. It only means you weren't ready to meet someone real. And now, as the breath continues to slow, as the ache begins to soften, let your body know, I choose me now. I choose my quiet. I choose my peace. You may even feel a warmth returning to your face, to your chest, to the places that were numb from waiting. There's nothing missing now. No part of you left behind. Only breath. Only presence. Only you finally being enough for you. And as this moment settles into your body, you might find yourself drifting, not away, but into something. Into stillness, into freedom, into the kind of love that doesn't wait to be chosen, because it already is. So here are the key meanings. Number 1, love unreturned doesn't mean you're unworthy. Not being chosen isn't a reflection of your value, beauty, or depth. Sometimes people don't choose you not because they didn't see you, but because they couldn't meet you at the level you are offering love. This challenges the unconscious belief that rejection equals inadequacy. Embedded message: you were always enough, even for someone who wasn't ready for you. Number 2, softness is strength, not a liability. Val's love was subtle, patient, and real. This contrasts with loud, performative, drama-filled love that often gets mistaken for passion. Her decision to stay soft without collapsing into need is an embodiment of inner strength. Embedded message: your softness is sacred. Don't harden just because the world doesn't recognize it yet. Number 3, letting go is an act of self-respect. The story moves from yearning to sovereignty, not through bitterness, but through quiet reclaiming. Val lets go not because she stops loving him, but because she starts loving herself more. Embedded message: true love lets go when it's no longer being met. Number 4, grief is the companion of love, not its enemy. The ache that Val feels is honored, not rushed. It's spacious, it's texture. It's portrayed as a sign of having loved deeply. The story validates the pain of not being chosen without reframing it as weakness or failure. Embedded message: your grief is evidence of your courage to love fully. Number 5, healing comes from returning to self. In the final act, Val doesn't receive an apology, closure, or reversal. She receives herself. Her wholeness was never actually taken. It just needed time and space to remember it. Embedded message: the love you offered outward is the same love you now return inward. Number 6, we can love without losing ourselves. The story threads a quiet but powerful distinction. Real love doesn't demand you abandon yourself to keep it alive. Val never begs, never collapses. She holds her center even as it breaks. Embedded message: you can love deeply and still choose to love yourself in the end. Number 7. The right one doesn't need convincing. The story indirectly reassures listeners that the one meant for them will not need to be persuaded. It addresses the underlying ache of, what else could I have done? With compassion and clarity. Embedded message: real connection chooses you back, freely, without force. And so, if this story touched something in you, let yourself subscribe now, so the next one finds you when you need it most. And if you like a hypnotic story written just for your experience, you can reach out at rhondashypnoticstories@gmail.com, and that's Rhonda without an H. Your story matters, and it's waiting to be heard. Until next time, be well.